Hello Year 9 and welcome to your final Animal Farm lesson of the week. We are consolidating our understanding of Chapter 2 today, so it might be worth you quickly skimming over what you read yesterday. So for your first task, what I would like you to do is match the quotations on the right with the characters on the left. So for example, the first one, a large, rather fierce-looking Berkshire Bull, not much of a talker but with a reputation for getting his own way. You would write out that quote and next to it put the character who it's talking about. If you're not quite sure, remember you can just quickly pop back and read the beginning of chapter 2. So this should probably take you between 5 and 10 minutes depending on how fast you write. But this is your starter task. Pause the video and then come back when you've completed it. Okay, so we're going to explore the character of Boxer in a little bit more depth. And I'd like you to think about what each of the following quotations tell us about his character. How do the other animals feel about him? And as a reader, how do we respond to him? So the first quote is, he had made an arrangement with one of the cockerels to call him in the mornings half an hour earlier than everyone else. So what this reveals about his character is that he's incredibly hardworking. He's a very diligent sort of character. He wants to try his best. He contributes to farm life. Secondly, he'd been a hard worker even in Jones's time. So what does this suggest? It's not like he's just working hard for the pigs and for animalism. He's always been a hard worker. So what can we infer? Thirdly, he couldn't get beyond the letter D. So in the alphabet, Boxer struggles to get after the first 4 letters. So what could we infer? And finally, he says, I will work harder. So for each of those quotes, you need to write them out, and underneath them or around them, write what they imply about Boxer or what we infer. And if you're feeling fancy, find a couple of your own quotes and do the same. This should take you about 10 minutes. Pause the video now. Okay, so just whilst we're thinking about the character of Boxer, I'd like you to think a little bit more deeply. So how is Boxer presented differently than characters such as Napoleon, Snowball and Squealer? So how is he different from the pigs? How do their characters contrast? What are the similarities and differences? And if you are loving a bit of Russian history, who do you think, or what do you think, Boxer is meant to represent, given that Animal Farm is an allegory? So which section of society might Boxer be representing here? So just 5 minutes on this, pause the video and then come back. Strange order. Okay, for your final task for today's lesson, I would like you to pick one of these boxes to complete. So green is if you're not feeling particularly confident, yellow is if you're a little bit more confident, and pink is if you are looking for a challenge and you really want to stretch yourself. So you just need to choose one box. You must answer in full sentences. So you don't need to write the question out, but you must respond in full sentences. So for example, for question 1 on green, what are the 7 commandments? Don't just write them out. Write the 7 commandments are, and then list them underneath. Equally, if you start with green and you think, actually, I'm finding this a little bit easy, feel free to skip to yellow and so forth. And again, if you want to start with the pink box and you're like, actually, this is a little bit too difficult to do independently, then you can go back to yellow. So it's not kind of, you must do green, you must do yellow, you must do pink. You pick what works for you. So I'll just go through green and then I'll let you decide. So what are the 7 commandments? You can find those at the end of chapter 2 on that link your teachers will have sent you. What does Moses tell the animals and why do the pigs hate him? So think about Sugar Candy Mountain and what he says it's like. Thirdly, what's the mood on the farm immediately following the rebellion? So as soon as they've got Jones to leave, what do all the animals do? How do they behave? And finally, what do you think happens to the milk at the end of chapter 2? So that's green. Yellow and pink, getting a little bit more tricky. So for yellow, why are the 7 commandments important? Why do the animals need them? Why does society need rules and laws? Secondly, explain the idea of animalism. Can you link it to the context we've already studied? Thirdly, Look at the discussion between Snowball and Molly. So this is when she talks about will there be sugar? And what does this conversation reveal about each character? So what can we tell about Molly? What can we tell about Snowball? What are their priorities? How are they different? Number 4, what are the main causes of the rebellion in chapter 2? So what series of events leads up to the animals rebelling? And number 5, how could the seemingly minor event of the milk have important consequences? So could it be foreshadowing anything that's going to happen later in the novella? And for pink, the 3 pigs seem to represent the communist leaders. Who represents who? Google it. Number 2, Boxer and Clover the cart horses are the most faithful disciples of animalism. Do you find their loyalty touching, and what or who do they represent? And finally, the leaders of the animalists try to dissuade the other animals from believing in Sugar Candy Mountain. How does this fit with the communist view of religion? So again, you might have to do a bit of research here, but something quite important is that Karl Marx once described religion as the opiate of the masses. So opiate linking to opium, so it has quite a calming effect, quite a numbing effect. So how might religion be seen as the opiate of the masses? Okay, if you get stuck at all, feel free to drop your teachers an email, but I have faith in you. You'll be fantastic. Keep up the excellent work at home. Goodbye.